This week, we're making authentic Avgolemono soup. We're making our own broth. We're making a liaison of eggs and lemon juice. Serve this soup with pepper and salt. And this is absolutely a bowl of soup that you need to eat with a piece of bread and butter. This soup was a childhood favorite. You need to join us for this one. Today we're making Avgolemono soup. I've been asked hundreds of times for this recipe. This is a soup that takes a little bit of preparation. This is soul food. This is soup for the soul. You know, this is like chicken soup, but this is the Greek version of it. I'm gonna show you how to make it today. What I have made ahead of time though, and I have included in a recipe, is making the double strength chicken broth. As you can see here, I've got some chicken fat floating on top. This is really good stock, homemade, and that is the basis for every soup, is making a fresh homemade stock that actually has good flavor. Now I took chicken broth and I added a raw chicken to it with carrots, onions, celery, bay leaves, black peppercorns, like 4 or 5 threads of saffron, which gives me a little bit of that yellowness that I like because it's attractive and it's not using any food colorings, touch of white pepper. And I let that chicken simmer for 2 hours, about a 3.5 pound bird with 12 cups of chicken broth. And if you want to start off with a canned broth, that's okay, but I prefer to use your own chicken stock through the whole thing. So this is a double strength chicken stock. We're gonna get 6 of these 8 cups into a pot. We're gonna leave about 2 cups, and we're gonna get this started on high and get it to a simmer, and we're gonna get our other ingredients ready while we're going. 3 lemons, which are gonna go into this Avgolemono, and I squeeze them fresh. The only time I ever use bottled lemon juice is when I squeeze it myself and put it in a bottle. Having one of these little lemon juicers is great because it really forces you to squeeze your lemon juice. It makes it easy, and fresh lemon in any of your recipes that you use lemon in is going to give you 10 times better flavor than anything else. So I have 4 lemons here. I'm shooting for about 6 ounces, so once I push this pulp and seeds down, we'll see what we have. And that's a little less than a cup. That's about 6 ounces. We're gonna put that in with the chicken broth, and we're gonna cut the last lemon, and we're gonna put this into our cold or room temperature chicken broth. If it was cold, you want it to sit out a little bit and get to room temperature. Because what we're gonna do with this is going to be our liaison, and the liaison is a thickener. And it also gives us that foamy, fluffy egg. It's the texture of the Avgolemono soup that is so hard to achieve, but it's so easy to do if you know what to do. So we've got 2 cups of stock in here. We're gonna add 4 eggs. This recipe makes about 3 quarts or 6 12-ounce bowls. Now, when we made that chicken broth, my mother would take the meat off and she would serve that at the table with the soup, and you could take a whole piece of chicken and put it in your soup, and that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna leave the salt out for now, but to this liaison, I've got lemon juice, I've got 2 cups of room temperature or cold chicken broth. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of all-purpose flour. I'm gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon each of black pepper and white pepper. The white pepper gives you a little bit more of a floral. The black pepper, they taste differently, and I like the flavor of both of them in there. And we're gonna give this a blend. Now my mother, when she made this soup, she had this in the blender. So if you don't have a hand blender, you definitely can use a blender. Sorry, Zach, but I'm trying to start the process of whipping it, okay? This is heating up and getting close. We're gonna put this over here so it's ready to be tempered. My mother had all this ready, and then when we sat down and we were at the table, that's when she would finish the soup. And we'd all be sitting there waiting for the pot of soup to come to the table. And I got myself a nice piece of French bread here. Let's see how our broth is doing. You know, if you wanted your broth a little bit darker yellow, You could add a little bit more saffron. That comes out when I strained it, but I wanted to give it, chicken isn't yellow except for the fat. And the eggs will give us a little bit of yellow, but I like to add a little bit extra. And you want to try your chicken broth, which I've already done this, but it's got a nice lemony flavor. It's not too lemony. It's probably going to need this salt, so we'll add that half a teaspoon. But again, my mother, when she served this soup at the table, everybody would salt and pepper their own bowl of soup, and if they wanted extra lemons, they would squeeze it in themselves, because Mom always had a bowl of lemon wedges at the table when she served Avgolemono soup. Actually, we always had lemons at the table because most of the food that we were eating were greens and salads. Okay, so this is where we're at when everybody is at the table, because this is not a la minute soup. The reason why we don't make this in the restaurant business is when you reheat it, you risk breaking it because of the eggs. It's one of those soups that you make, you eat, and you enjoy it. So now, while we're whipping, we add hot stock, and we keep it simmering. What we're doing is we're warming this up. And if you do this in a blender, you even get a better. You see how we're getting that foam there? Okay, so now we pour this all in at once. And we add 8 ounces of raw orzo that I cooked 1 minute less than it needed to be. So that was 8 minutes. I cooked it. I shocked it with cold water. I tossed it with like a tablespoon of olive oil. You could use rice. You could use arancini pasta. But I always love the Avgolemono with orzo. Now, we have this heat on high, but we're not going to bring it to a boil. We're only going to cook this soup until that flour starts to thicken it. And I like to use a rubber spatula for that. And you keep an eye on it, because if you do bring it to a boil, it'll break. The eggs will cook, and then it'll be curdly. So the pasta had gone in right when the liaison went in, so we didn't want to add the pasta to the soup once it was thickened, because it would have cooled it down. We want this soup to go to the table nice and piping hot. And we use the rubber spatula. You don't use an aluminum pot for this because it'll turn gray. You need a stainless pot or a copper pot with a stainless steel inside. You move this quickly, and it will come to temperature, and it will start to thicken before it boils, so you'll know. Once the thickening starts to happen, you know you're getting close. The eggs will start to cook, and the flour will start to cook, and then your soup will start to get the viscosity of a beautiful Avgolemono. It takes about 5 minutes or so. Yeah, when my mother was done using the blender, we knew we were close. Until it's starting to get a little shiny and starting to get a little viscosity. Takes a little bit of time, but again, you don't walk away from this. And because we cooked the pasta a couple minutes short of its cooking time, it's finishing cooking now, and it's absorbing the soup into the noodle. It would be kind of like cooking your pasta al dente and then adding it to your sauce to finish cooking and to absorb that liquid. As you can see, this is starting to thicken up now. It's getting close to. You can tell when it starts to steam. Yeah, this soup is served piping hot and fresh. I actually think the blender works better for this. And next time we do a video on this soup, maybe we'll do the blender version. The blender seems to give you more of a froth. I can feel the bottom. I have to work a little bit harder. And there it is. This is the consistency of light pancake batter. Flour is cooked out. It's just ready to start boiling. We're going to turn it off. We're ready to serve. Avgolemono is a brothier with a little bit of viscosity soup, because you add chicken, just a touch of salt, touch of fresh ground black pepper. Always had bread at the dinner table. Unsalted butter. Don't be bashful. Because it's unsalted, I like to put a little kosher salt on it and give that a mix in. Oh, that was everything about this soup. It was hot. It was fresh. I wish you were here now to enjoy this. We ate this soup every Easter. Almost every Sunday we had Avgolemono, because my mom would make lamb. At Thanksgiving, we would make avgolemono with the turkey bones. What a great avgolemono that makes. And I do it on Thanksgiving with my family. They know I do, and they'll talk about it on the comments. I could eat this soup every day. It's warm, it's comforting, it's really good chicken soup with lemon. It's served piping hot, and as it sits on the stove, it'll get thicker. This soup has gotten a little bit thicker, where you can see the noodles now floating. See? So if you go any farther than that, you'll curdle this. Now, if you make this soup and you want to eat it the next day, when you reheat it, it's difficult, and it's not guaranteed that it's going to come out. It'll still be good to eat, but it may curdle. So you have to heat it up really low. What I would suggest is leave the soup sit out for about an hour so it's not really cold, so it can get room temp, and then heat it up from room temp. Now, this soup will stay 3 to 5 days. The sooner you eat it, the better, because as it's sitting in the cooler, the noodles keep getting more and more absorbed. I'm sorry, but this is just so good. I'm so glad we got this on tape. We always had greens. We'd put a piece of chicken in here. And the soup was so hot that it would heat up the chicken. It wasn't a bowl of soup that you just rifled through it like if you were at a restaurant. It was so hot that the last spoon was still too hot to just take down right away. I mean, it's a soup where you sip it off the spoon. That's how hot it is. And that's the way it's supposed to be served. It's an a la minute soup with the avgolemono, soup for the soul. It's the Greek chicken soup that everybody loves and wants to know how to make. And if you have a really great stock and you prepare your liaison properly, you can use more or less of anything in this recipe. You can add garlic, you can season with salt and pepper, but like I said, my mom had the salt and pepper at the table, and she had lemon wedges at the table, and you could doctor your avgolemono because it was so hot it wouldn't cool it off. And what I loved about it is I could dip my bread with butter in this soup, and just the hot soup would dissolve the bread in my mouth. This is a childhood memory for me. And see how those noodles, they float in the soup, but it's not a gravy. It's just thick enough to have some viscosity, like a Juliet. Look, I'm halfway done with this bowl, and it's still burning hot. That's the beauty of eating avgolemono, because it's made to order. I strongly suggest this recipe for a special Christmas dinner, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, but make this soup. It's easy. Make a great stock. Handle your liaison properly. Cook your pasta. Have your chicken on the side. And that's avgolemono done Greek style. We hope you try it.